In this video, I will demonstrate how to construct a grouped frequency distribution and a cumulative frequency distribution using Microsoft Excel. So we are given a specific set of data, and our goal is to organize the data into 5 classes. So we want 5 classes. Okay. What I would do in the first step is to sort this data. So we click on the column and we click on the sort and filter button, select smallest to largest. So we see that the smallest value is 6 and the largest value is 97. So that means that the range is 97 minus 6, 91. Let me just create insert an extra column. Actually, we want the column here, just to have some space. To calculate the class width is the range divided by the number of classes. And in this case, it's 5. And we end up with 18.2. Now remember, we always round up. So even though normally we would round to 18, when we're rounding for the class width, we round to the next whole number, which is 19. Okay, now we need to construct our classes, class boundaries, and determine the frequencies. First step, we need to determine the lower class boundary limits. We always begin with the lowest value, which is 6, and then we add the class width to 6. So to add the class width, we would select the equal sign, select the cell J4 that contains 6, and then add 19. So the next lower limit is 25. Now using that methodology, we can then simply drag the formula and it will repeatedly add 19 to the previous value. And we can do this until we have 5 lower limits. So these are the lower limits of our classes. To obtain the upper limits, we always look at the second lower limit and subtract 1. So that's 24. So the first group is from 6 to 24. And then once again, we're going to repeat what we did previously. We select the cell that contains 24, which is K4, add 19 to that value, 43, and then just drag this down. And we have all the other upper limits. So we have our classes. There's 5 of them. Now we need the class boundaries. The class boundaries are found by subtracting 0.5 from the lower limit, adding 0.5 to the upper limit. So let's press equals, select the cell that contains 6, minus 0.5. For the upper limit, we press equals, select the cell that contains 24, add plus 0.5, and then double click, and all the other values are automatically computed by Excel. Now finally, we have to determine our frequencies. We will skip the tally column because there's no need to have a tally column, as all of our values have been sorted. So we can take advantage of that. We see that the first class must contain the values from 6 to 24. Well, let's count how many of those values are there. And I'll just use some coloring here to color the cells. So 6 to 21, so that means there's 6 numbers in the class 6 to 24. The next class is 25 to 43. So that's going to be 28 to 43. So let's count. So 3, 6, 7. 44 to 62 would be these values here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 63 to 81 would be all of these values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the last three values would be for the final class. So we can also add some coloring in here to make our table look a little nicer. There we go. All right, now we want to construct the cumulative frequency. So the cumulative frequency, in the first column, we list all the individual class boundary limits. So we'll list all the lower class boundary limits and the highest class boundary limit. So let's start with 5.5, 24.5. We'll type in the first two values. Then we select the two cells that contain those values and then drag down until we get to the highest value. And so all the values are now listed. Now for the cumulative frequency, it's the sum of all the frequencies that precedes the limit. Well, it turns out that there are no frequencies that precede 5.5, so we always begin with 0 in the cumulative frequency. The next value is the sum of the frequencies that precede 24.5, that is 6. And then after that, we're just adding the next frequency to 6 and just repeating that pattern. So to use Excel to help us perform these calculations, we'll select on the cell that contains 6, we'll put a plus, and then we'll add the next frequency. And so that's going to give us 13 because 6 and 7 are equal to 13. And then what I'll do is I'll just click and it will repeat all the other values for us. And that's the cumulative frequency. Let's just add some color to it to make it look a little nicer. And there it is. Hopefully this helps you when you build tables for your data set. Thanks for watching the video.